next we've got another panel session for you. It is all about cost saving and profitability. Every restaurant wants to cut costs without cutting corners. But profitability isn't just about spending less. It's about making the right trade-offs. So this session is all about smart cuts, not shortcuts, mastering cost efficiency without cost. Please welcome our panelists. We've got our moderator, Saad Ganta, Director of Franchise, Kudu Company for Food and Catering. We have Chef Deepraj Singh, Group Operations Manager, F&B Lulu Group International. Pablo Jimenez, Country Operations Manager, Americana Restaurants. And Avinash Mohan, CEO and founder, the Elevate Global Hospitality and Hideout Group. Let's give them all a nice round of applause this morning.
Hello, can you hear me? Yeah, hi, can everyone hear me? Yeah, it's on. Okay, brilliant. Okay, good morning, everyone. Great to be here. My name is Saad Ganta, and I'll be moderating today's panel, but smart cuts, no shortcuts, mastering cost efficiency without compromise. Now, we know this isn't the sexiest thing in our industry. This isn't very much what we all joined this industry. Sorry? Okay. Yes. Okay. So what we're saying is this isn't the sexiest thing of why we all joined this wonderful industry of hospitality. Talking about costs, talking about cutting costs specifically. We know hospitality and we all love it. It's about the customer, it's about the people, it's about the food and the whole overall experience. However, we know how it's important at times. We do have sometimes some headwinds that are out of our control. The likes of 3 years ago, April 2022, I'm sure a lot of operators remember, just post the start of the war in Ukraine when all the costs have gone up 30-40%. In all the cost of goods, we all still, I think, feeling the pain. So sometimes it's out of our control. However, this session today, we want to talk about with the wonderful panel here about the importance of, yes, cost cutting is an exercise that has to be part of the business and of every operator, and efficiency, profitability. But how could we do it without harming guest experience, the teams, and have really create long-term value for the brand that we are all working for and driving. And that's really the real challenge. Hence, I've got my great panel. So I've got Mr. Avinash D'Souza, and I've got Chef Deepraj, and I've got Pablo Jimenez. So let's have a bit of a deep dive. No fluff, no spreadsheets, just real thinking and honest talk as operators between ourselves. First question for Avinash. So from your glorious, obviously, experience working with really big entities like EMR Hospitality, the Four Seasons, the Fairmont of this world, have you ever made a cost-saving decision that looked great on the spreadsheet? Probably the financial director loved it, but ultimately hurt the business in reality.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I've taken multiple decisions like that, which looked financially fantastic, but then in the longer term, it definitely hurt the business. I'll give you a couple of examples. First was a training plan. Training is something that we always think that it has to be right at the bottom many times, because to have a proper systematic integrated training into a bigger project, it does financially sound a little bit heavy, and it's the easiest thing to move out from your chart. So yes, I did when I was doing the Expo 2020, one of the training programs, which actually costed us quite a bit. We moved it out just to ensure that we look financially much more greener than, have it on the chart. So what it impacted was, in the initial 3 months' time, we lost a lot of employees who had just joined, had no clue what Expo was all about, and who were new to the F&B industry because we had hired them from various different countries. And then suddenly, all of a sudden, since the training program was not set properly, so they decided to leave, and they were not happy with what we were doing. They were completely new to the system. They were fresh graduates for sure, because, we had to hire a lot of people. So they had no clue. And I think it was all the reason why it happened was the training that we did not incorporate right at the beginning, a systematic training. So that's one. Second, I would say is that as a chef, I've taken multiple decisions to go with a cheaper supplier for any product. So what happens is when you go with a cheaper supplier, definitely the financials look way better, but then the quality suffers. So when the quality is not there, automatically what happens is the customer is not coming back, because they realize what is a good quality, and they realize what is, good in the market and what is not so good in the market. So especially when you're working in a 5-star hotel kind of a setup. Yeah. So that affects a lot.
That's a great example. A couple of examples actually, fantastic. And I really like your point about the customer won't come back. Because ultimately we can get, as I believe, I'm sure you are, we believe, we can deep dive in all the spreadsheets on the world, spend hours with the CFO, respect any CFOs that are here in the room. No, but ultimately it's about the customer. Yes. And if the customer feels that we're cutting costs, they will not come back. Dubai now have 14,000, as an example, restaurant, one of the highest densities in the world. Every single customer, repeat customer matter. Absolutely. So on the flip side, so Pablo, if you could talk to us through your recent experience with Americana or previously in the UK, what was that one smart cut that actually you've done, but improved actually both the bottom line and the guest experience?
Thank you, Sad. Good morning, everybody in the room. So I will not call it smart cut. I will call it as innovation. As year and a half has been challenging with all the geopolitical situation around our region, obviously, as you have mentioned. And I think we need to reinvent ourselves slightly because we need to, like in the previous session, we mentioned we need to keep innovating. And I think what we did in Americana and especially in Pizza Hut last year, we tried to, as operators, work very closely with marketing and find new solutions to save, right? An example was we create a product which we call it Hut Delights, which we actually took time to create it because we were in details on what our customer want, what is our customer like. So with all the data available we have, we understood what are the most liked products from our customer, from our loyal customers. And by knowing that, we create a range which was very, very, very effective. So we're 5 pizzas where we, instead of having the full topping pizzas, we have less toppings. Instead of reducing the quantity of topping, we have less toppings, but still with the flavors, the favorite flavors of our customer want. The key thing about it, they were operationally very easily to execute. So it was a really win-to-win situation there. Our P&L was hit positively because we have a product that was very profitable. But at the same time, we look at what the customer wanted and what at the same time will be very easy for us in operation to produce. In the time, it was very important to manage our customer to be with us.
Yeah. Example, we're still back to the customer, which is brilliant. Operational efficiency, but the customer, and try to find that balance. So when you did this exercise and this, how did you maintain the quality in this exercise that you've just mentioned, and also the team spirits? How do you get the teams engaged to deliver within this constraint?
Yeah, I think the quality was essential to keep the recipes as we did have. So this is what was good. Would have been very easy for us to say, okay, we have this product, let's put 20 grams less cheese, 3 less pieces of chicken, 3 less pepperonis. But we didn't do that. We create a new recipe where the quality is still there. The flavors of our customers were still meeting their expectations because obviously we collect the feedback. And in the second part of your question, I think, and people in the room will know this, is to listen to your teams. The challenge, listen to their challenges. And when you are in a change management situation, it's essential that you lead with empathy, listening to them, understanding what are the concerns. For me, been working in every single position in a restaurant possible, from kitchen porter to waiter, pizzaiolo, manager. You really need to listen to them. So as a leader, even at C-level, you need to be in the ground and listen to people because their narrative are what they're making to help you to make very good decisions and the past. And me personally, what I think I did in this period was a challenge period. I kept what I've been known for my energy, trying to make every positive action a celebration and to make sure the people buy to the mission, because at the end I will say it's a mission, right? You are in a period of time where you need everybody to pull together. In a corporate world, it's very easy to go and say, this is the company. It's not the company. It's about to make sure that you look up for their well-being and their job stability. And these decisions make that to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a balance that's becoming really tough and tougher and tougher. But this is why particularly in the region. We have some of the best operators in the world in the GCC at the moment, and I'm sure it will carry on just getting better and better with the technology that's been introduced, what have you. But then I like your point about having the people at the heart of it as well. To mention the customer, the people, very, very important. So Avinash, would you like to add on this point on how do you maintain that quality, particularly from obviously your experience in five-star hotels where the expectation probably of the customer is a lot higher?
See, I would say also right at the beginning when you're recruiting the people, so that's also one decision that you make, which kind of leads to a satisfaction and happiness at the end of the day, because you know this is your organization and this is the way we operate. Based on your own organization, you hire people, you know how to motivate them. And I would say when you do that, the key aspect also lies in the fact that you also need to motivate them every now and then, rather than just waiting for the bonus at the end of the year. So that motivation factor, the training, so these are definitely, and as Pablo said, the standardization of recipes to maintain the quality. So all those things definitely play a big role when you want your staff to be happy and working towards that goal while you're doing the cost cutting strategies.
Yeah. Would you have a specific example when you did a smart investment in terms of reducing cost, and how did you measure success?
Yes, I would actually go back to the previous session where Anjum was mentioning about the POS. So we did actually invest into a very good POS system, which also kind of looked at the inventory and the sales. They kind of combined both together. So it kind of helped us in analyzing the data. So at the end of the day, now we are seeing with all this automation happening, that data is something that we all are looking into. So we did that a few years ago because the operation was so vast that we definitely needed data. So we invested into this fantastic futuristic POS system wherein we could analyze the sales, we could go back and integrate it backwards to checking what we should produce, how much we should produce, what is the skill levels that we required, what is the wastage. And in doing that, within a 3-month, 4-month period, we actually reduced the cost by almost 5 to 6%, which is huge when you look at the kind of operation that was being handled at Expo.
Yeah.
So that's what I would say as one. Another one, what I would say is investing into a waste management system, something like Vino. I don't know if people have heard of that system. So Vino is, initially it costed us a lot because we had to buy a lot of cameras, we had to buy a lot of weighing scales. But then this was one waste management system wherein we kind of got our team trained to actually to keep the bin on the waste, the weighing machine. And then every time something is thrown into that, it's actually the data is fed into the system, which is attached to the bin. So it was a fantastic system because over a period of a month, we could actually see in a buffet, in a breakfast buffet or in a lunch buffet or, otherwise, how much of wastage that you're generating and what are the things that customers are not eating. If it is a buffet, if it is sausages in the breakfast, are they wasting a kg or 2 kg every day? So that means you can actually focus on that and kind of, control that. Similarly, many other examples. So I would say definitely the POS system, the waste management system is two smart investment that I did over my...
Yeah, absolutely. Incredible examples around waste management. So we know it's really key pillar of the sustainability targets of, I'm sure, our companies at the moment, but also the Dubai, the UAE and GCC and kind of global powerhouses at the moment. It's a fantastic example. Let me take you back to Expo 2020. I'm sure lots of us in this room have potentially been directly or indirectly involved with. It's a great example of how it came after COVID. It was fast-paced, 200 venues within 6 months. So let me move this to Chef Dipraj. With fast changing customer expectations now, extremely fast, how do you keep your teams, your ops teams, agile without cutting too much cost, without really making some big changes? How do you keep them agile to all these different fast-paced expectations?
Good morning, everyone. See, when we talk about cost savings and keeping our teams agile, I think both go hand in hand, right? So when teams are under pressure, right, with constantly changing demands and expectations from the customers, you need to invest a lot of time, effort, and energy in training them, right? Today, your customers could come expect a certain sort of a product, In a week's time, there's a new fab running around, in the markets in UAE, and then you need to adapt to that. So as a company, chefs, we invest a lot of our time and effort in training our guys in to keep them up to the standards of the market, to keep them updated with what is the current trend going in the market. So that's one. Now, how do you keep them agile? A lot of times when pressure is on the team, they tend to sort of drop their shoulders down. Now, the best way to help them is to get smart equipments in to help tackle their workload. Now, when I talk about smart equipments, you can have smart ovens, you can have your fridges, your chillers, your freezers, which sort of help you to cut down a lot of those, I won't say non-essential, but tasks that can be taken care by the systems. To give you an example, when you have a smart oven in the kitchen, you can sort of put in your product and let the machine do the cooking, while you can better utilize your team members, your chefs, your commies to do multiple tasks. Because when a smart oven is operational, once you put the product in, you don't need to stand there and wait for the product to cook and come, like what you would do in a brat pan or in a regular cooking pot where you need to continuously stir and all. So that way, one, you're sort of cutting down the pressure on your team members, right? And these equipments help a lot, right? They are cost efficient. They save a lot of bills in terms of energy, right? And, you can plan your teams better. Lean days, you can get your teams, give them ops, give them some rest, get them sort of motivated, do the trainings, and get them prepared for the tough weekend that is coming around. So I think use of AI, use of smart equipments, and training, in fact, cross-training as well. So if you have a chef working in a Conti kitchen, you can cross-train him into Indian, or you can cross-train him into Gardamanjar. So trainings, again, that's a cornerstone for any big business to keep their staff motivated and get the maximum output from them.
Absolutely. Again, back to the team. On the other side, sometimes strategically we have to invest, trying to find costs. As we all know, this is the balance that operators and the businesses overall need to always try to balance and please the P&L, please the board, the shareholders, all the stakeholders involved. Sometimes we have, as operators, have to go back to the board and get some investment, which might not be a smart cost efficiency, but we need sometimes to invest and add into the cost for the long-term strategic gain of the brand or the restaurant or the hotel. So Pablo, from your experience in the region or maybe the UK, back in your Pizza Express world, is there anything that you deliberately overspent on or pushed your board to approve and overspend? I know you can be very persistent, overspend, because it matters in the bigger picture. And you really believe that was the right thing to do at that time?
Yes, actually. For a go in UK, we have a project to revamp around and open around 27 restaurants for Pizza Express. And then obviously we have a challenge with the labor at the time, and we needed to make sure that we build those team gaps. We knew we will open a lot of sites in a very short of time, so we needed to make sure that we get more people. Obviously, when you invest in team members and then at this time they don't have their own productivity because they are in training, it's always something very difficult to convince the people to invest. For me, and that project was essential to get the people ready. We were aiming to open in very high footfall locations where a brand like Pizza Express, with the heritage they have in UK, was essential to have the team ready from day one. We were talking about thousands of pounds daily. So it took a little bit of time to convince the directors, the board, but we built a pipeline of team members and managers to ensure that we did fulfill the restaurants that we were planning to open in the time. Was around 18 months we need to open those. So it was a good project, challenging. They put pressure on all of us to ensure that we did have the right investment. It didn't look right at the time, but it definitely did pay off because our customer experience for day one was in a good level, on the level of expectation we had.
Yeah, that's a fantastic example. Thank you for that. And that's a really good example about perhaps cost cutting could be smart in the short term. However, the long term, we've got to invest. because obviously shareholders look and the board look at the business in the mid to long term for their return. And then, it's a good example on perhaps we take the hit now. However, for the next 3 to 4 years, all the renovations, all the capex, the millions we're spending, from your example, the millions that they're spending, the return will be a lot stronger over long term because the teams will be ready. They want to be running headless chicken pre-opening, try to find a manager because that pipeline has been done. So it's a great example that cost efficiency can be done over the long term with the right strategy and for the right reasons. Really credible example. So we have one last question for you, Chef Deepraj. If you could give us that one personal rule that you follow when it comes to cost efficiency, what would that be, that main golden rule that you think our audience could benefit from?
See, again, cost efficiencies does not necessarily mean that you need to cut costs, right? So as I mentioned earlier, cornerstone of any organization is its human resources. So my main driving force for me personally, again, keep your staffs motivated, train them well, speak to them, communicate properly. A lot of times what happens is in our day-to-day busy routines, we sort of forget to communicate clearly. We do communicate, but then the message that sometimes goes out is not, I think, clear or thorough for our team members. So I think communication for me is a cornerstone of what I do day to day. Keep the team members informed of the new products coming in, keep the teams sort of informed about new changes happening in the policies of the company. Why is it happening? How is it gonna sort of affect their job roles? So keeping them communicating properly, keeping them informed, keeping them up to the info level that they need to be in, I think that's very important.
Brilliant. Nesh, would you like to add?
Yeah, I'll actually add from my recent experience as a restaurateur. So one thing that I have realized over a period of 3 years is that you have to invest into your manpower. So as a restaurateur, initially my idea was like, I am a chef, I know how to cook. So I don't need a great number two. I can have commis who are fantastic, but maybe not a great number two. But then within first 6 months, I did realize that investment, whether I'm paying him a good amount of salary and hiring him, is something that I thought a lot of restaurateurs whom I know do the same thing. They don't invest in the right talent by giving them the right remuneration. I think that is one cost which we all try to save, but that's actually not a cost saving. That's actually leading to a lot of, I would say, revenue lost, a lot of sales lost, a lot of, complaints that comes along the way. So I realized it the hard way, but then, yes, that's something that we all need to think that, as Chef rightly said as well, investing into your manpower, investing into your team is something very, very important. That's another golden rule. I learned it the hard way. So, and then definitely, one more thing I would just quickly add is the equipments. So sometimes one piece of equipment might sound extremely expensive. For example, rational or a gas tank versus a gas cylinder. I mean, these things might sound expensive, feel expensive right at the beginning. But then, I'll tell you my personal example as well. I had these gas cylinders in my restaurants, which I was using. Maybe not in the hotels, nobody uses that. But then suddenly I realized that when I switched over from gas cylinders to a gas tank, the cost of LPG had come down almost 40%. So it's a huge amount of savings, although initially I had to invest into a little bit more. So those efficiencies we all must look at.
Just to quickly add on, when we talk about huge investments in capex in restaurants and hotels, a lot of times we sort of tend to give a blind eye on the flooring. Working in kitchens, it's a highly volatile environment. It's hot, it's humid. There could be slips, there could be trips. You can fall down. So investing in the right type of flooring is of umpteen importance in the kitchen. Kitchen floors are one area which are being beaten throughout the day, 24/7, 365 days a year. Now, if you don't have the right flooring, if generally in kitchens you do have spillage. If you don't have the right type of flooring, your guys can fall, they can slip, they can hurt themselves bad. And imagine if one of your key chefs slipping, injuring himself, and being out of action for a month. How much is that going to cost you in terms of your quality, your consistency, your availability, and the customers you're going to lose because of that? So I think that is something we really need to watch closely and ensure that we have the right type of flooring available to make sure that our teams are safe. And, end of the day, it's going to have a direct impact on our customers and our sales as well.
Well, thank you. Thank you all. I think we've got some really, really grounded takeaways. Thank you for all. I think we've all got one key message now is that cost efficiency isn't about cutting corners. Cost efficiency is important, is an important pillar of the operations in any business and mostly in our industry, hospitality. But it's mainly from what I'm getting from the panelists here is about focusing on what matters the most. Not being driven just by what the spreadsheet says, read between the spreadsheets, could we invest on people, productivity, could we invest on the right equipment, on the right, how do we invest our right capex on the right, and not looking for shortcuts. And also the key one is keeping the customer at the heart of every decision, because ultimately they are the ones who will be paying for this, all the P&L and everything that comes with it. So thank you. Are there any questions from the audience? We still got about 2-3 minutes. We're still here for the full day. We can always have a coffee and have a chat about it a little bit further. So thank you again. Thank you, our panelists. Thank you for the audience. I hope you enjoyed this session. Thank you very much.
Thank you.